Hey everyone and welcome to another XIM tutorial. Today I want to show you my competitive Fortnite config tutorial. It's focused around competitive gameplay and getting the most out of your XIM Apex. It also includes setup instructions for an edit reset button as well as another very powerful Fortnite trick. Especially the last trick is absolutely broken. But first let's talk about the preparation steps that are required for this config. The first one is about your XIM firmware and manager version. Here you can see the two versions that you should use. Especially for the edit reset and the other trick you have to run on the latest versions, which you can see right now. So if you currently are on an older version, then you can find the link to the correct firmware in the video description. Once you're using the correct firmware, you can continue with the next preparation step. Head into the global settings of your XIM manager. Your polling rate should be set to 1000 Hz. If you cannot see that option, then tick the expert mode box at the very top. Even if your mouse struggles to send a constant 1000 Hz signal, you should still use that polling rate here. Only if your mouse doesn't offer a 1000 Hz mode, you should use a lower polling rate. The main idea behind this is to get a better aim assist behavior due to the minor imperfections in the signal. After that, press the save button in the bottom right and restart your XIM Apex, otherwise your polling rate changes will not become active. Next, let's take care of the in-game settings. The required in-game settings for Fortnite can be found by pressing the wrench button in the bottom right of your config picture. Press the yes button and you will be forwarded to the XIM forum. We will use the exponential XIM config since it overall offers a better game experience. For competitive players, it's in my opinion the best config for Fortnite. So change your in-game settings now so that they match these values. What you can ignore though is the last line, you really don't have to use Combat Pro. And no, using a different controller layout or even a custom one will not have a negative effect on this config. The same goes for all the other settings that aren't listed here, you can freely customize them to your personal preference. The next topic is about the hip and ADS settings. Start by clicking on the edit button in the top left. My config color is set to yellow and my hotkey is the F1 key. That way I can load my Fortnite config whenever I want to by pressing the F1 key on my keyboard. As a confirmation, my XIM will then show a yellow LED light. Now let's swipe one more time to the right to enter the hip menu. As always, adjust your synchronization settings first. Sync default gives the best mouse movements and aim assist behavior. You can also use sync common for more aim assist, but if you want to compete versus the best players, then you should consider to use sync default. With that synchronization, you can build up muscle memory much faster. Sync off with some smoothing is also a good option, but overall you're just recreating the feeling of sync default. I will go with sync default here. After that, adjust your hip sensitivity. I will use a sensitivity of 27 with a mouse DPI value of 3200. Your DPI value has quite some influence on the quality of your mouse movements. A wrong value can cause aim assist problems and mouse stutter. If you're unsure what DPI value will work best for your setup, then you can watch my XIM mouse DPI tutorial. I would also recommend you to watch my sensitivity tutorial if you want to find your most optimal mouse sensitivity. A link to both videos can be found in the video description. Boost and steady aim will not be necessary for this config, so keep them at 0. The same goes for SAB. Due to the most recent aim assist changes to exponential ramp, you will hardly see any benefits from using SAB. Therefore, just keep it at 0 to avoid inaccurate character movements. Now scroll down until you can see the button bindings. Here you can either copy my button layout that you can see right now, or you go with your own one. By the way, I'm using a custom controller layout in the in-game options, which I will show you later. At the bottom of your button bindings you can find the option to switch to the secondary button bindings. There you can bind every controller action a second time. I'm using it to double bind a lot of my building buttons. For example, by double binding my ramp key, I don't suffer from the sensitivity slowdown when building stairs with my ADS button. Another trick is to double bind my tabulator key to the edit and build button. That way I can edit and confirm a structure with one and the same key. Now swipe one more time to the right to enter the ADS configuration. Just like before, adjust your XIM synchronization first. I recommend to use the same synchronization as in your hip settings to maintain the same mouse feeling. So I will go with sync default again. After that, adjust your aim down sight sensitivity. My preferred aim down sight sensitivity for Fortnite is 21. Just like in your hip config, I don't recommend to use boost, steady aim or SAB in the aim down sight settings. Sync default is all we need to get the mouse movements and aim assist behavior that we want. In the third topic, I will show you how to set up an edit reset key. For that, I would recommend you to use my in-game controller layout. I am using the default custom layout with no changes. For a better understanding, I have highlighted the important button bindings that you should use here. Alternatively, memorize what actions you use in your controller layout and bind your buttons in the next few steps accordingly. As a short reminder, you do not have to bind the confirm action to the right D-pad button. We already did that earlier in the secondary button bindings. For the edit reset button, we obviously want to use the scroll wheel of our mouse, but you can of course use any other key as well. So go into your XIM manager and swipe back to your hip config. Go into the secondary button bindings and assign the scroll down button to the right D-pad. We will use that button to reset our structures. Next, you have to swipe 2 times to the right to enter a new subconfig. Start by pressing the enable button to activate it. Bind your scroll down button as an activation key. After that, set the delay value to 40 milliseconds. If you have a really good ping, you can even use lower values. You should not use less than 20 milliseconds though, as otherwise the action might not register in the game. Now scroll down and change your sensitivity settings so that they match your hip config. My hip sensitivity is 27 and my sync is default. Now untick the inherit box at the top and switch into the secondary button bindings. There you have to bind your scroll down button to the build mode and aim down sights action. Once you have done that, your edit reset button is complete. But before I show you some in-game examples, let's take care of the second trick, which is even better than the edit reset key. What about a button with which you can instantly make edits to structures and confirm them with a single click? Let's call that button the overpowered key. So swipe one more time to the right and activate a new subconfig. I will use the scroll up button as my overpowered key. Now bind your desired overpowered key as an activation button. The delay value has to be set to 0. Once that is done, you have to take care of the sensitivity options. Make sure that they match your hip values. Next, you have to untick the inherit box at the top and switch into the secondary button bindings. Assign your overpowered key to the right D-pad here. After that, you have to switch into a new subconfig. So swipe one more time to the right and activate a new subconfig. Once again, assign your overpowered key as an activation button. The delay value has to be set to 20 milliseconds. Next, you have to make sure your sensitivity settings match your hip values. At last, you have to untick the inherit box at the top again and switch into the secondary button bindings. Bind the scroll up button to the fire action at the very top. To complete the setup, we will need one more subconfig. So once again, swipe one more time to the right and activate a new subconfig. Bind your overpowered key as an activation button and set the delay value to 40 milliseconds. Once that is done, you have to make sure your sensitivity settings match your hip values again. Next, you have to untick the inherit box again and switch into the secondary button bindings. In the middle, you now have to bind your overpowered key to the build mode action. That is already it. Your Fortnite config is now complete. As always, you can find the copy and paste code for the whole configuration in the video description down below. So how do these tricks work now? Here is an example with an unedited wall in the creative mode. If I want to edit a window into the wall, I just look at the wall and press my overpowered key. And once I want to reset the wall, I just have to press my reset key. And you can of course do the very same with any other structure as well. On this floor, for example, I will now spam my overpowered key and reset button back and forth. As you can see, it's incredibly fast, and I would say it's impossible to be that fast without these tricks. But that is not the only advantage of the overpowered key. Here you have a ramp with a floor and a pyramid on top. When I now run upwards, I just have to press my overpowered key twice to edit up the two structures. But that's not everything yet. The overpowered key also works while you're building. Let's say I want to ramp rush and cover myself by using a floor and a pyramid. So all I have to do is to place the two structures and then click my overpowered key twice to edit them up. Once that is done, I will still be in the build mode and can continue to spam ramps. And here is the last example for the overpowered key. Let's say you trapped an enemy in a box below you with a pyramid and a floor in between. You can now easily shoot the enemy by pressing your overpowered key twice. And after that you can obviously press your edit reset button twice to close the trap again. I'm sure you will now understand for why I use the scroll up and scroll down button for the overpowered key and reset button. I mean, you can literally spam those two without any problems. Guys, if you like this video, hit the like button or even subscribe to this channel. And for the crazy guys out there, you can even support the channel now by becoming a channel member. I'd really appreciate that. Channel members also get exclusive benefits, such as early access to all new videos. Also, let me know if you would like to see more of these tutorial videos, and don't forget to post your own suggestions in the comments down below. But that's about it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will maybe see you in the next one.